I got a random call from some college friends and said, we're going to spend spring break in Puerto Vallarta. Come join us. I literally did not know where Puerto Vallarta was. I bought a ticket, had no idea where this place was. I just bought
Like where in the world? Like you
bought
didn't
the
even know it
flight,
was in
didn't even know,
Mexico.
had no idea. We could have landed in Greece for all I know.
Hola, hola. Welcome to Let's Invest, a podcast where we interview investors and leaders in Puerto Vallarta's real estate industry. So you can get real life insight on the market here in Puerto Vallarta and Banderas Bay. I'm Dyani Leal, broker and investment consultant with Dyanimite Investment Realty. And this is BB. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the Puerto Vallarta area, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. All of my information is in my bio and in the video description below. We're here today with Deb Stevenson from Crate Interiors, and she has this amazing story and many years experience living and investing in Puerto Vallarta. And I'm just so excited to hear from you today, Deb.
I'm so excited to be here. Your studio is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining
It's a
us.
pleasure.
So, why don't we start from the beginning? Can you tell us a little bit more about your story? I think it's always interesting how people even wound up in Puerto Vallarta to begin with. Where are you from originally? What path took you here?
Yeah. So I'm originally from South Africa. You may hear the little accent come and go.
I did pick up on it a little. It's subtle though.
And my first trip to Puerto Vallarta actually was on spring break.
Oh.
I was a college student in Boston, so I know we have some things in common.
Where did you go to college?
I was in a couple of different private universities, and then I studied at Harvard.
Oh, wow.
So I got a random call from some college friends and said, we're going to spend spring break in Puerto Vallarta. Come join us. I literally did not know where Puerto Vallarta was. I bought a ticket, had no idea where this place was. I just bought
like where in the world? Like you didn't even know it was in Mexico.
Had no idea. We could have landed in Greece for all I know. Literally landed here, and after that first wave of humidity that hits you in the airport when you land, I just fell in love with the climate, the ocean frontage, the mountainscape behind, and not dissimilar to my birth city of Cape Town. So huge bay, big mountains behind, super diverse flora and fauna, and all the bougainvillea and the white, stucco buildings and the cupolas and stuff. I literally fell in love with this place.
I think it's interesting because I really do think there's this immediate feeling you get when you arrive somewhere. I did a lot of traveling when I was younger, and I would, it goes both ways, right? You can get somewhere and be like, I'm not going to like it. This is not a good vibe. Like, get me out of here. And you could be like, oh my God, this is home. Like, this is it. So that's amazing that happened to you with PV.
Yeah.
And that wasn't your expectation. It was just a spring break trip, You did no research, just got on a plane. That's crazy. So then what happened? You just decided to restructure your life to make it to PV to live permanently?
Years later, I was working in the fashion and home furnishings industry in Los Angeles. And as many people know, there's some direct flight paths from US and Canadian cities that come to Mexican destinations, including Puerto Vallarta. And LA to PV is only a 2-hour, 15-minute flight. Cut to many years later, this became a favorite vacation destination.
Yeah.
And I actually started spending much more time here when I was able to be a digital nomad and working remotely from my laptop. As I moved into more of a digital role in my company and my career, I was able, like so many people today that we know, to spend more and more time in Puerto Vallarta.
So it was like, I'm going to go for a week. Then it became, I'm going to go for a month. Then it was like, I'm going to go for 3 months. Yeah. And then suddenly it's 6 months. And then you're like, I'm actually not going to go back to LA.
That's right. That's literally the path that we see so many investors and home buyers and clients follow.
Yeah.
Like they figure out how they can spend more time here and work remotely.
And I think whether you admit it to yourself or not, it's your subconscious intention to begin with. Like I took a plane and I went to Central America originally.
Yeah.
I had a round trip ticket, but I was like in the back of my mind, if I like it, I'm not going to leave.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like so I'm like, oh, I just decided to stay, but it was also an intention. And I think a lot of people do make that plan to kind of segue little by little. And you really do have to detach from a lot of those commitments we make in the United States. And a lot of them are just illusions. questions, right? You're like, well, I have the contract on my telephone, or what am I going to do with all my stuff? And then it's just little by little, you start to be like, that stuff doesn't matter, actually.
It's much easier to disconnect than people think. And there's so many ways now that people can have multiple residencies and multiple nationalities and can be living and working globally in more than one location.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having an investment portfolio of different residences or having vacation homes of your own in different places, you very easily can split your time between those locations and just make it work.
Yeah. So how long ago was all of this?
So I founded Crate Interiors here in the Bay of Banderas 15 years ago.
15
We
years.
celebrated
Wow.
our 15
Oh,
years
congratulations.
anniversary, kind of on the quiet last year. And I actually founded the business while I was running an interior design studio very similar in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So again, because of that proximity, just that 2 hour short flight, and doing the exact same work in a design studio based in LA, we realized that there was a huge opportunity in the market for the same service that we offered to people in their primary residences.
Yeah.
To support a vacation property investment, luxury villa, or a cash flowing rental property.
Wow. Okay. So that kind of leads to my next question because I'm really interested in a big angle of the podcast is having people that are potentially considering an investment in the Puerto Vallarta and Banderas Bay area to hear from the real life experience from others investors. By obviously the biggest thing is to learn from other people's mistakes, right? Because mistakes can be expensive and the more we can minimize those, the better. So really hearing stories is extremely helpful for people. And I know you do have experience as an investor in real estate, and that kind of is connected to the founding of Crate Interiors. Can you walk us a little bit through how those things came together?
Yeah, it really is. So when I first started to purchase my very first rental property investments in the Bay of Banderas, they were in the Zona Romantica, which is a very popular rental area in this huge bay. And out of my own frustrations to find all the furnishings components, nice quality linens to meet good hospitality specs, dishes, all the decor items, nice art. You go through the list of what a turnkey rental property actually needs. Out of those, my own struggles to find those things, I realized that there was a huge need for the exact interior design service that I was running in Los Angeles to do that here for other investors.
Oh my goodness. And yeah, I think that's how a lot of really amazing businesses, I mean, that's number one for entrepreneurialism 101, right? Is you solve a problem.
Solve a problem. Yeah. Fill a need.
Yeah, fill a need.
But out of your own struggles, often you are able to highlight or showcase where the gap in the market or the need exists.
Exactly. And I think that's one thing that is really interesting is how many entrepreneurs are solving their own needs, right? Because I knew a lot of people in Nicaragua, for example, they would start schools because they were like, well, I needed somewhere to send my kid. And there was this, you know what I mean? There was such minimal services that were provided in the small town I was living in Central America that it was very easy for entrepreneurs to just come up with those niches and fulfill them. And 15 years ago, I think Puerto Vallarta is, and it still is, in a very developmental stage of growth, right? And and so that's amazing that you were able to, that wasn't even being fulfilled at that time, and you were able to really get in there and provide high quality interior design services, with the expectations that, foreign investors really do expect as well.
They do need that. Yeah, so that was our exact intention, is to serve a multinational foreign investor, a North American investor from the US or Canada and Europe, who is investing here, building a portfolio, their first or their fourth plus property, and offer long-term continuity. And 15 years later, we're still the only truly turnkey furnishing solution in the Bay of Banderas, working continuously through all these years, offering both a move-in ready on arrival service and then continued aftercare, warranties, and services long-term.
Wow, that's amazing. And also, you're probably, I think there's a lot of local services that don't know how to communicate with foreigners. So you bring a lot of business to people locally that wouldn't otherwise have that. So it's really just being this bridge, connecting and really fulfilling the needs of investors who can actually, isn't it the dream to have the passive income, but it's not always usually passive. There's a lot of things you wind up having to do.
You have to be very involved, actually.
You have to wind up being more involved than you ever really want to be. It's always one thing after another. And you're like, this doesn't feel passive. But I think you being able to provide that full service opportunity does actually, get you that closer to that dream of the passive income.
So that's exactly what we do. We are an on the ground, single point of contact, full service, full stack for interior design and renovation.
Yeah.
And we are their eyes and ears as an extension of their property management or their cleaning crew or their calendar booking service, whatever else they already have embedded into their property. We're an augment or an amplification of that to make sure that we filled all the gaps. And really, as we've added services along the way, it's been out of the client needs that we've uncovered. So we get the emergency call, oh, I need to service my AC units prior to high season, or it's time to refinish my teak deck furniture. We've accumulated those service calls over time just from our clients calling in and saying, do you know somebody who could do XYZ?
So it's ongoing, your service that you offer to clients,
Yeah,
basically lifetime.
We do offer full warranties and ongoing aftercare to continuously help owners support and maintain their properties.
So what kind of properties do you work with? Is there a certain price point? Is there a certain level of design that you do? Is it mostly luxury? And what is the price estimate for people that might be considering? And of course, if you want more information, I'm going to plug all the information for Crate Interiors and Deb's contact and all of that in the show notes below. But can you give us a little bit of an idea? Because maybe if somebody is watching or listening and they're considering, is this the right fit for me?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so we do focus on a full service interior design for new construction and resale properties, as well as a full stack renovation service for legacy properties that owners are purchasing and want to renovate or upgrade. So both of those areas are our service models that we provide. And then we focus on top tier and luxury properties that are 500K USD and above, and going into 2, 3, 4, 10, $14 million, because this is such a diverse real estate market with diverse communities and a lot of ocean frontage. So prices can vary tremendously in terms of the purchase price of the real estate.
Yeah.
We also focus on a complete turnkey service. And so it's not a piecemeal thing like shopping at retail, buy a mattress here or a new sofa there. We really focus on those investors who are looking for a single point of contact and a move-in ready service done end to end.
Right.
And that's really where we excel because there are so few providers that can do that. In fact, we are still the only truly turnkey furnishing solution in the Bay.
Oh, wow.
So we focus on a full suite of services in an end-to-end single point of contact.
Wow. That's amazing. One of the biggest feedback that I've gotten from clients and from other people who have looked at your stuff is just the high quality design and the look and it just being a very sophisticated aesthetic and just a very nice and tasteful design. And so it kind of makes sense when you're talking about working with LA interior design companies and, you know, where a lot of your inspiration comes from. Where do you draw your inspiration?
So as a design team, we have always only ever been coastal focused. So we've only always ever focused on coastal resort markets, ocean frontage. Penthouses are a huge portion of our work. We've done more penthouses in the Bay of Banderas than any other design service. And almost all of our projects have been ocean frontage. So as the market grows and people are developing off oceanfront, obviously we've expanded and moved in that direction as well. But for a really long time, we were really working with owners who are focused on owning beachfront real estate in the premium and luxury market.
And where do you source your materials, your furniture, all of that? Where do you get it from?
So we have a completely integrated procurement and purchasing component to the service that we do. We have more than 100 brands in our program of furnishings, mattresses, sheets, towels from hospitality suppliers, fully integrated with window treatments and custom carpentry. And we do global sourcing for all of that. So really, people should be thinking about us as a full service retail store model. So you'd walk into a store and you would see furniture and rugs and lamps and appliances and all the things.
Yeah.
So we are fully integrated that way with sourcing, and we do that globally from wherever those articles are made in the world. You know, most of the world's outdoor furniture is made in Southeast Asia, for example.
Right.
That's where it comes from, wherever you buy it. If you buy it in Vancouver or Los Angeles or Mexico City, that's where it originates.
Yeah.
And so we source there. If you talk about rugs, you're talking about rugs that are made in Pakistan or Portugal or China or wherever they're made from. Those are the sources that we have.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So I didn't realize it was such an so many international options.
Yeah, it is. And it's the widest selection as well in the Bay of Banderas. So we have more options and more brands in our program than any other retailer that's in this market.
Wow. And so I know you did it for yourself and your investments, and
That's right.
also that you work with a lot of investors. It's mostly investors that are your clients.
Yeah, they are. So, like a high percentage of our client profile are investors, multi-unit investors that are building or expanding a real estate portfolio. They could already, for example, own multiple vacation homes in other markets like Canada and the US. They could also have high booking, highly active Airbnb units as well in clusters in places where they live and work. And they're expanding their portfolio into Mexico. So first property, fourth property, building a real estate portfolio in Mexico as well of vacation homes, fully operational luxury villas, or rental properties that are listed on Airbnb and similar booking sites.
So, what do you think the investment in this high quality, internationally sourced furniture and the services that Create Interiors
Yeah.
offers? How does that impact the return for the investor?
It's a huge priority for us at Create Interiors to map out an investor's plan of action and figure out what their investment strategy is and help them use the resource and the investment, the working capital that they're going to now spend on a turnkey furnishings package or on a full scale renovation, how to use that investment for the greatest ROI. So we really dig into that topic in the very first discovery sessions with every couple or investor group or single entrepreneur and really figure out what the end game is. Are they trying to position this property as a luxury full service property? Are they looking to get year round sustained revenue on a very active, busy Airbnb calendar? Or is it for friends and family and personal use where the selections and the furnishings really matter to them as a family and we're super customizing each bedroom for each potential guest or for the kids or the extended family that come and stay with them? So it really starts with the end in mind. We really dig into that in the beginning and then meet their objectives in terms of the total investment and what the end result is.
Okay. Yeah. See, I work with investors as well, of course, and I always start from the end result.
Yeah.
You have to, because everybody has different goals. Everybody has a different vision.
Yeah.
Everybody has completely different things that they're looking to get from the investment. So,
Sure.
Really understanding what that goal is helps you to be more goal oriented and fulfill
And be
their
more
needs.
effective.
Yeah.
To hit their target points. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I love that we both come from this perspective,
Yeah.
really digging into numbers and return on investment. I think that we have a lot of commonalities in the way that we advise clients and then we move them through a process. And now that we have 15 years of operational experience in the Bay of Mid-Airs, we're super happy at Create Interiors to really be able to catalog those case studies and that data point and mine from 15 years of data, even in terms of like the resale that comes along at some point in the investor's journey.
Yeah.
So at 5 years or 10 years, if they decide to sell that property and upgrade and purchase something else, we track a lot of that informational data on each property to know how that property did over time.
Yeah.
Did it sell with its original furnishings all intact? Did it stage and present well when it was put on market for resale? How did it do ultimately for those owners compared to what they paid initially in the investment? Did they buy in pre-sale and then see a nice appreciation or accumulation in property values? If the furniture held up, how did that furniture contribute to the end price or offer price that they were able to receive? So we feel like we have a lot of historical data in this market that can be leveraged for new investors. And we use that when we speak to new clients and new investors for the first time. We use our historical data to point them to what should be an all-in budget and then what they could expect to return at the end or a sort of a marker point in the project's history.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's really impressive that you've tracked everything that meticulously and that you have, I mean, because 15 years is pretty good.
It's a massive amount
yeah,
of
that's,
data.
yeah. And because you really,
mine.
yeah, it's hard at the beginning, but it's all projections. So once you get to that point where you have so much data that you can look back and see real results, and that's really useful. I'm definitely gonna have to try to get some of this information from you.
We're super happy to share that.
Yeah.
I mean, fun story. We were at a project 2 days ago that was a unit refurnished along the Rio Quale it was 2009. We did this project for a Canadian buyer in 2009. He's now lived in the home and put it on the market with one of our preferred broker affiliates. And he called us in to take a look at the property and restage it for resale. And we were able to offer him some kind of comps on the original investment, how much he spent on furnishings and upgrades and commissioned artwork and all kinds of other amazing details.
Yeah.
He's a very passionate art collector
Yeah.
over the years. And then look at what his resale price is likely to be on the market today and help him figure out what the appreciation has been since 2009.
Wow. Yeah. So then what were the numbers? What did they look like?
So in this particular case, this owner purchased in pre-sale, which means that he was immediately able to realize some property appreciation since he purchased while the property was still being constructed, got a really attractive
I always recommend purchasing pre-sale.
Yes.
Because...
So already had that. Then he put in really high quality furniture. So he was at a better or best quality in terms of price point on furniture.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then since he's a passionate art collector, he commissioned artwork and added that to the home, which is
he was selling it with it included.
He is. He's including.
Wow, I feel like people never sell the. They're like pieces, everything but the art.
Yeah,
you know?
Some of the pieces he did remove from walls, and so we went into rehang, and obviously there were some nail holes and some shadows on the wall where art had been there for a very long time. Do the math, 2009.
Wow.
He had his original paintwork, the colors that we originally chose for him, elevated paint package still in place, and his furniture looked like it was in really good condition. Even down to the rugs, like all these years later, with all the wear and tear.
Wow.
His rugs were in great shape. His furniture was in really good condition. Had really nice artwork, and so potential offer price today would be double what he initially invested. And he doesn't need to refurnish to stage the unit. He doesn't need to bring in decor and artwork, for example, because he invested so well over the years. There's really nothing that he needed other than the restaging that Crate Interiors provided and a deep cleaning that I think is due before we let the public in.
Yeah.
He has a dog, I think, and so there's some dog hair here and there. But other than a deep cleaning and a courtesy staging.
So that's in 17 years.
Yeah,
right?
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, amazing. And where did he buy? What part of PV?
It's along the Rio Quale.
Oh, the Rio Quale.
Yeah. So, and the unit also has really beautiful jungle and some ocean views from the front terrace. So it's uniquely positioned as a piece of real estate with both of those very desirable views out of front and back.
Wow, that's a great investment.
Yeah. So we're super excited for him.
Yeah.
And he's on to his next investment. He's looking at another part of town. Now that he's been here many years, he's more accustomed and more familiar with the area. And so moving to another new neighborhood for his next phase.
So what's the best investment you've seen somebody make or the highest return? I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
We actually have quite a few properties we've tracked where owners have made double or more in their investment. So around 2020, when we saw a huge surge in this marketplace and people became very interested in transferring or converting their initial vacation residence into a sort of secondary primary residence, spending more time in Mexico, we saw people renovating and redoing their properties to incorporate more work from home spaces, bringing in more technology, more Starlink, and upgrading to 5G and stuff like that so that they could spend more time here and still be working remotely.
Yeah.
What we saw was there was a movement. It was a great movement here, as you probably remember. The market really heated up. A lot of properties came on market, got snapped up very quickly. There's a lot of momentum here behind the marketplace. And we saw a little uptick or a little surge at that time of owners that we had worked with, let's call it 10 years and 5-year increments prior, making some changes, either converting their property to personal use or putting it on market and buying something else that was bigger because now they were spending more time here. And so at that point, we started to see owners putting property on market and earning double the primary investment, the original investment.
Oh, wow.
And so we realized in 2020 that people were returning really good property values and appreciation, and that they were putting their properties on market with the original Crate Interiors furnishings that we had selected for them in the beginning.
Yeah.
And if they bought high quality furniture that of course was durable and lasted, wear and tear minimal, strong, high quality rugs, and
even through vacation rentals.
Yes.
Wow.
And
yeah, because I think that's the biggest thing. You really have to have good furniture for a vacation rental that sustains.
You do, and I think also maintenance along the way. So if the unit was well cared for, had regular housekeeping, upkeep, and maintenance on things,
it's not abandoned.
Repair,
yeah,
exactly right. So if all those things were in place, we started seeing owners making a significant appreciation on property in the double or higher return.
Wow. And one thing I think that's pretty amazing about the area, PV, Venturas Bay, is this is a major coastal city in Mexico. Really one of the top. And obviously the government is very invested in Puerto Vallarta. It's well resourced. I mean, the infrastructure is growing. And if you look at major coastal cities in the US or any coastal cities in the US, there obviously isn't one that's at the same stage of growth as Puerto Vallarta, right? I mean, it's like going back in time. And it's funny, I took some investor courses and there was this one, it was this long seminar that was like 8 hours or something like that. And the teacher said, who here would, if that you could go back in time to make an investment, would? And of course, every single person raised their hand because I mean, obviously you want to go back. That's the dream, right?
Regret.
Yeah.
Buyer's regret.
And I think that's one of the best things about international investment. You can actually access that time portal. You know, you can go back in time.
In an emerging market.
In an emerging market. And yeah, in Puerto Vallarta, that stage of growth, because I think a lot of people, they're incredulous. The international investors watching from abroad and or listening or whatever, and they're like, there's that appreciation rate. I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, there's no guarantee. That sounds crazy. But really, this is a very active market in a very active stage of growth. You know, I've been here for 9 years, and, you know, I live in the Venturas Bay area, which is even more of an exponential growth state than even PV, right? And Nuevo Vallarta Boulevard, for example, was absolutely nothing. It was just like all grass when I first moved to this area, which was only like 5 or 6 years ago. And now it's like filled with tons of restaurants, hundreds of condos, like, and these are nice restaurants and it's developing and the infrastructure is well built. And lived in Central America for a very long time, but I just feel like it's very comfortable, luxurious living is very possible and actually probable here. And there's a lot of luxury properties, and that luxury market doesn't really exist in all parts of Mexico, right? So that also gives you this opportunity that if you do have a substantial investment budget, you can see a pretty remarkable return. Yeah. So those are some really great examples. So you've also talked about how you're an investor and that's how you started this whole business to begin with. What are some investments you've made? Have you made any ones that have brought you some really interesting returns, or have you made any mistakes that you could warn people about? Like, what's your experience as an investor in this area?
So recently, I also joined the momentum in the market for legacy properties or resale properties, not just focused on new construction as I had been in the beginning. So looking at properties and projects that have been on the market for a while, maybe due for a little refresh or renovation or a makeover.
Yeah.
So I dipped a toe into that market and very interested in that. And it really corresponds to an interest that we see, a movement in the market, and also a movement from some of our home buyers who are multi-unit serial investors.
Yeah.
So recently we did a renovation project on a unit. We turned into a multi-unit rental. So separated the floors and turned them into separate multi-unit rentals.
Oh, did you separate the units legally with the condominium regime, or it was just for rentals?
Well, we did both, but it's on the market as a rental.
I've looked at numbers on that strategy, and I think it's probably one of the most profitable ones you could do. Yeah.
Also, adding an additional floor or more floors to an existing property.
Yeah.
That's structurally set up and obviously enabled and has proper architectural
of course.
And, engineering.
Then not a minor detail.
Right. Specs already set up. So projects like that start looking very interesting in a market that's maturing. And so we see that tide and that momentum kind of picking up. And I've been very happy doing our project together as a team. Obviously, we're in the business of interior design and furnishings and renovation. So we were able to do this as a team project.
Wow.
And that was super fun to do. We have great passion and investment and ownership in it.
Yeah.
And then we also get to do the maintenance on it as a team.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun. And I'm definitely interested in doing more of those. Another category that I find very interesting is this tiny home, geodesic dome, alternative kind of structures and alternative kind of construction.
They have great rental returns.
Yeah, and we're seeing kind of a market acceleration in this area. There are several developers who have some really incredible geodesic jumps. Shout out to these early adopters and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, they're paving the way because
Yeah,
people are like, can you even source those kinds of materials?
yeah, exactly right. It does
Yeah.
involve new material. Tiny homes, container construction has definitely made its foray into the Bay of Banderas in the north and the south as well. So way up north to San Pancho and beyond, and Cabo Corrientes in the south.
Yeah, I got a random call in WhatsApp from the Cabo Corrientes one. I don't know how I got on their list or anything. They were like, hey, you want to come and visit? And I was kind of like, yeah, actually, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And I looked it up afterwards. It looks really nice. I haven't been, but I didn't know there was one in San Pancho too.
Yeah, so those kinds of alternative constructions, I think I'm very interested in. Also because it's geographically appropriate. So we have some beautiful coastline, but then behind that we have incredibly diverse biosphere through the mountains and hilltops with pretty steep elevation. So some of these,
it's actually a really great fit for PV, especially with the mountains.
Sense.
And even the beach. Like it's just a glamping haven. It really could be. Yeah,
it gives people an alternative way of experiencing this incredible natural geography. We have the largest rainforest here in the Bay of Banderas outside of Brazil, outside of the Amazon rainforest.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
So to be in that community out in the wild, if you can create a structure that's not dependent on traditional types of architecture and construction, it puts people in an amazing location.
Wow. Okay. So I'm just curious. So what kind of investment do you do? Do you just remodel, rentals, or have you developed anything? And this leads to my next question, which is, are you going to develop a glamping dome?
So lovely.
And how do I buy it?
Let's both invest. I'm super passionate about these alternative types of architecture and construction, and also from an investor perspective, being part of some of those projects. So for any developers who have an interest in pursuing this kind of destination type of design, Crate Interiors is super interested in supporting projects like this at the early developer stages. We'd love to be part of the team. We'd love to be early investors and be part of the creative brainstorming on how to bring a project like that to market.
Oh, that's great, because I actually just did an interview with a developer in the region who's pretty established. I think he's been developing for like 9 years, had various projects. And basically he said the takeaway was that him having a team has just made it manageable and just enjoyable. And they have a great combination of people, and just that he highly recommends having a team. So I think that's great that you're presenting that opportunity, because I think a lot of people who just are foreigners and they don't know anyone, and the only kind of information they're receiving is through content and online research and stuff like that. It can be hard to really navigate. How do I connect with people? How do I trust people? But established people in the industry who have a real knowledge and experience in real estate investment is a great place to start.
We're super interested and motivated to be part of new projects. That's definitely the next step for us, or the next era in our evolution as a design service.
That's great. And I think that's one of the most amazing things about investment is how creative it can become, even when it comes to financing, collaborations, partnerships. I mean, that's really where the beauty of, and a lot of really incredible outcomes can happen.
It's super creative, and you're literally bringing something to life. You're literally manifesting a lifestyle for people that they will later come and enjoy.
Yeah, no, it starts with a vision, right? Just an idea.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Exciting.
Yeah. So do you have any tips for investors that are interested in the region?
So as some of my favorite global nomad and podcasters like to say, go where you're treated the best. Invest, take your money, and go personally to spend the time where you're treated the best. So if you have an innate passion and love for a certain place, you like it, you want to go there frequently, you enjoy being there yourself, that's the first marker that's the right place for you. Because you will come frequently, you'll be interested in being there. It won't be a random decision that you make on a spur of the moment vacation. It's somewhere that you really enjoy being and coming back to, because you will need to service your property. You will need to stay in touch with the team that helps you over the long term. So go where you're treated the best, go where you really enjoy being, and that will be the first marker for a good investment.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I couldn't agree more. That's really great insight, because I think that's overlooked. Sometimes you're just trying to look at the numbers, and you do want to think as an investor, like, don't get too distracted by your emotions or shiny objects or whatever. but truly the experience of the investment itself has to be something that you genuinely enjoy. And that's going to motivate you. That's going to give you more creative energy. That's going to give you more inspiration and more excitement to continue to do it. And all those things can't be underestimated in their importance.
Right. You can't underestimate the value of that.
Yeah.
And I would say the second point is really work with a knowledgeable real estate agent who knows the community, has long-term roots and ties to the community themselves. Because someone who's lived in this market for a long time and has a long-term career here really understands the nuances of how the market has changed over time, or can spot new opportunities that are high potential. So as we talked earlier about things that kind of a little more off the grid, or new neighborhoods and new markets that are kind of emerging and opening up, someone who's been here historically really understands that market and can bring those nuances to life. They can also help you edit through things and give you background information on a certain developer's history and their success in bringing projects to market on time, on budget.
Oh yeah, that's huge. Reputation is, and you really need to have somebody with local knowledge to tell you the real deal, right?
And what I have seen watching real estate agents who are part of our broker affiliate program, they really provide such a personal, curated hand selection of properties for owners to view when they come on their buying trips. It's so thoughtfully considered just for them, that the matches are so easy to make because your realtor has pre-selected for you something that's really a right fit.
A good fit. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the other thing is you want somebody that's honest who's going to tell you when it's not a good fit.
Exactly right.
Like I definitely tell people that like I wouldn't make this investment, not a good investment, maybe not a good fit. You're going to be miserable.
Yes.
You know, once you really know somebody, you can say like, I don't think you're going to be comfortable with this.
Exactly right.
Take it or leave it, but this is my advice. Yeah, that's all really helpful. And then speaking of being somebody who has lived here for so long and knows everything so well, knows the market well, and people trying to determine if this is the right place for them, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about living here?
What I love so much about having a business and a base here in Mexico is the lifestyle and the climate. It's really priceless for me to be able to look out of my windows from my conference table or my workstation and watch the sunrise and the sunset every day. It's truly a priceless blessing in my life.
Yeah.
The proximity. I can walk 3 blocks and I can go and have a swim in the ocean, or I can walk or run the beachfront.
Yeah.
I can be on a mountain trail straight out of my door in less than an hour. I can walk out of my door and I can be on a mountaintop in less than an hour.
Yeah.
Those things are truly priceless and contribute enormously to my personal lifestyle. I think that in this region also, we have the valley of ranches and vegetable and produce production so close to us that the quality of food in this marketplace is just unbelievable.
Oh my goodness.
If you go back to the 1930s when Puerto Vallarta emerged as a vacation destination, you can track the history of this town to restaurants and food quality and the seafood that was fished directly off the shores. And that innate DNA of a food and beverage community still holds true today. Yeah. I feel like the quality of the food that I eat here on a daily basis is so sustaining and so nutritional that it's obviously contributed to my health and my well-being.
Oh my goodness. It adds years onto your life. It's a huge quality of life thing. And, just not having to worry that everything is laced with extremely toxic chemicals that are going to give you cancer, that's a plus. I don't feel like I'm that exposed to, some people say, oh, it's harder because you have to kind of make a lot of things from scratch. Where's the instant this and the instant that? But when you get used to it, you just buy your food normally. Like I literally made a creamy pasta last night with milk and cheese and butter, and that's how I always make it. Ingredients. I just, and it was delicious. And I was like, why do you need a sauce out of a can when you can just? And it was easy and fast too. And I was thinking there aren't a lot of options for the canned stuff anyway. But I'm glad that it's just led me to have this more natural and organic life with real food that we eat all the time, literally go to the butcher and the baker,
Love that.
The produce store, the fruteria, and you get all your stuff. So I think that is a huge plus. I love that.
So interesting fact, I have not eaten anything in it that comes in a bag or a box or a barcode in a considerable number of years.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. You're going to live to be like 150.
Well, I do think that's Mexico enabled.
It
so
is.
In this community, I can shop freely from our produce market. I can get a flat of eggs directly from the ranch. My stuff comes to me unpasteurized, unpackaged.
Exactly.
And it's one of the things I love the most.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That was another conversation that I had recently, but it was about how you probably add lots of years onto your life by living here. Yeah.
So those are some of my favorite things. And to answer your question about least favorite, I think even after all the years of living and working and loving my life in Mexico, I still really have a hard time with the heat of the summers.
Yeah.
So they're really not for the faint of heart.
No, they aren't.
The summers here are next level.
That's my least favorite thing too. I dread it every year.
It's still my least
I'm like,
favorite.
no, it's happening. Like for some reason, I want to think, maybe it won't happen this year.
I can do it.
Maybe this year it'll just forget to come, but it always comes and it always
That's
is
the
terrible.
hardest.
Yeah.
And I think that as with any tropical climate, so people who have vacation properties on the islands, for example,
in the mountains,
Dominican or other places that are tropical climates, the summer rainfall and that heavy torrential downpour, hurricanes, all those things, that whole package of tropical weather is part of it. Is tough, and it's just
tough.
Part of it.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah.
So I think that's the issue: the heavy rainfall, the tropics, sometimes the trash and the garbage. Yeah. So when you have that much rainfall in such a short period of time,
the flooding,
so intense and flooding, you see. Yeah. You also see, trees coming down from their moorings, and trash from like high up in the mountains, ends up flooding down low to sea level. And so those things are just part of it. But anyone who's lived in the islands, anyone who's got a vacation home in another coastal region is probably super familiar with all that.
It's tropical living. And let me tell you, it was even worse in Nicaragua, because it's Central America, and it was just a little bit more aggressive. The rain's stronger, the wind's harder, it's just, that's the tropical life for you.
It's part of the package.
It's part of the package. Yeah. But, you could always do the snowbird thing, which is kind of the dream. Right. Like just, escape some of those harsher months and go to a vacation home in the north,
Right. So pick your real estate portfolio, build your real estate portfolio appropriately.
Yeah, exactly.
For climate.
In conclusion.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty much it.
That's perfect.
And, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing to have this chat and realize how many things we have in common and how many more projects and opportunities we have ahead.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I feel the same way. I'm really excited to collaborate, and I just see that there's probably a lot more opportunities that we can even see right now, which is really cool. And how can people find you if they want to look for you? We're going to have all the information in the description, and then just create interiors, right?
Yeah, follow our journey. Our reels and shorts on all our social media pages and platforms are a great way to see what we do behind the scenes, not just the pretty photos of the finished portfolio, but track our installers and follow our journey as we make a huge commitment to moving more dreamers to paradise.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you for watching. Bye.
Adios.